Hillsborough County recently sent out the trim notices. That has to do with property taxes. I've gotten a lot of questions about the property taxes. Did you get yours? Were you scratching your head saying, what does this mean? Or did you open it and say, oh no, what am I doing? Well, I'm talking about property taxes today, so stick around. Hi, welcome back. My name is Joe Brown. I'm a realtor with Century 21, List with Beggins, located in South Tampa. Thank you so much for being here with me today. So in the introduction, I said that the trim notices have gone out. And TRIM, T-R-I-M, stands for Truth in Millage Reporting. And the county sends this out every year in August. And it shows the different taxing authorities in Hillsborough County and the millage that they're charging on the value. So property taxes are based on the value of the home. And I'm going to go more in depth into the value of the home later. But let me say this. I need to refer you back to my video I did last week about true value. What is the true value of anything? So last week's video, I had my sunglasses. And I said, I think these sunglasses are worth $15. But the most somebody would pay me for them is $8. So the value of those sunglasses is $8, not the $15, I think. Well, the same thing with homes. When you buy a home or you sell a home, that is the true value of the home. And the property appraiser is going to use that purchase price as the value of the home, right? But then it becomes a matter of timing as to when that new value gets entered into the property appraiser website and changes the taxes. So I said the trim notices have already gone out. Now we pay taxes in arrears, so the trim notices for 2022 have come out. So if you buy a house now, well, that tax bill is not going to change. When will it change? Maybe it'll change next year. My daughter and her husband, it took a year and a half for the new value of their home to hit the tax records. And her tax bill went up $3,600 a year. That's $300 a month that they have to pay more in their mortgage because of the increase in taxes. Why am I sharing this with you? I've had a lot of buyers say, hey Joe, what are the taxes on that house? And I very kindly have to say, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm not trying to be rude. It doesn't matter what the taxes are. What does matter is what the taxes will be. I do this as an agent. I pull up on the property appraiser website. They have a tax estimator that you put in an address for the house, what the purchase price is, and it will give you an estimated property tax value. So I always share that with my buyers, with my clients. Good agents should do that for you if you're a buyer. That's what's important. Now, it could very well be if you buy a house in July or August, yes, you will pay last year's property tax, right? The value of the house of the previous owner. It could be a year, maybe 2 years before the value changes in property taxes. And that is what's going to hit you, right? So a good agent will prepare you and say, listen, yeah, you're paying $2,200 a year now, but after it hits the property appraiser, it's going to be $5,000, right? You need to know that because you need to be able to budget for it. But I have some graphics I want to share with you, and I broke this down. So here's the first graphic. This may look familiar to you, but this is ad valorem taxes. Now, ad valorem means it's in proportion to the value of the thing, right? So it's in proportion to the value of the home. You'll see there's taxes for the county, taxes for the school, taxes for the library. You have the water system. You have the transit authority, right? So all these different taxing authorities, and the tax is based on the value of the home. So if you have a certain millage times the value of the house gives you the tax owed. But I want to change this, right? Because on the page you get, you had the ad valorem taxes at the top. And underneath, see here, you have non-ad valorem taxes. Non means it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the value of your home is. This is what you have to pay, right? I wanted to highlight this example because if you look, I think it's the second one down, it says Rivercrest CDD. Now, not all homes are in a CDD. A lot of the new development in South Hillsborough County are CDD. So CDD is community development, right? So let me use Fishhawk as an example. Well, to develop Fishhawk, many of these builders took out bonds to build the infrastructure. So they built the roads, they built the storm sewer underneath, they built the utilities out, right? Well, the CDD helps pay back the bond for that community. But then even within Fishhawk, there are different communities, and each of the communities may have their own HOA, homeowner association. So some people who are buying a home in Fishhawk pay both an HOA and a CDD. So you can see in this example of this tax bill, right, this family is paying, that's what, $1,700, almost $1,700 a year for the CDD. This is part of the taxes, part of their tax bill that they get every year. So it's important when you get the tax bill, look over it. Ad valorem are in proportion to the value of the house. Non-ad valorem, it doesn't matter what the value is, you have to pay these things. So there's a couple ways to save money on taxes. Number one, we have homestead exemption. So now, to qualify homestead exemption, number one, it has to be your primary residence. And if it's your primary residence, we get, I'm included, a $25,000 decrease in our taxable amount, right? But there's another $25,000 in decrease taxable amount, but for some areas, right? Instead of saying we get a $50,000 exemption, it's not really $50,000, it's $25,000 and $25,000, because school taxes, it's only a $25,000 decrease and not the full $50,000. And you'll see that in an example I'm going to show later. Also, homestead exemption. Now, there are different groups of people that have different exemptions, such as low-income elderly, or the disabled, or wounded warriors, right? They have different exemptions, sometimes exempting all ad valorem taxes. It doesn't exempt them from non-ad valorem, right? Only from ad valorem taxes. But part of the homestead exemption is a program called Save Our Homes. Save Our Homes. And what that Save Our Homes program means is the assessed value of your house cannot increase more than 3% a year, right? More than 3% a year. So a family, if you're homestead exemption, you're not going to see property taxes increase $10,000, or the value of your house increase $800,000 in 1 year if you're homestead exemption. Now there is an exception to that, and I mentioned that earlier. if you buy the house, right? If you buy the house, the value you pay for the house, the price you pay for the house will be the new value of the house. And so, yes, once it hits the taxing system, the value of the house is going to change and your taxes will be based off that. But if you're in Hillsborough County, well, in fact, if you're in the state of Florida, there's something called portability that can help you save money. Save money on taxes. And if you think about port, right? So it's an old sailing term, right? If you had a boat and you're in a river and you can't get beyond the river, you have to carry the boat to the new side of the river. That's called porting. And there are cities all over the nation called portage, where they had to carry the boats, right? So port means to carry. And what you carry is the value, the difference in value between the market value of the house and the assessed value of the house. So to help clarify this, let me put this example up here. And you see there are 4 columns. So the first column is the market value of the house. Then the second column is the assessed value of the house. And you can see in this example, there's almost a $400,000 difference. Then you see the exemptions, and this is what I talked about earlier, homestead exemption. Some are $50,000, schools it's $25,000. Then you have the taxable value, that's the 4th column. This taxable value is what we pay taxes on. The ad valorem taxes are based on this. Well, portability looks at the first 2 columns, the market value and the assessed value. So in this case, it's $400,000. Now let me wipe this example out and show up another slide. Now, I did not create this. You can find this at the Hillsborough County property appraisers, right? And so here's the part talking about portability, where you take the market value and you subtract the assessed value, and that gives you the amount that you can port. I want you to look, if you can read it, the asterisk at the very bottom. This is based on the property appraiser's website, right? It's not like you can get an appraiser to come out to appraise your house. It's what's on the property appraiser website. That graph I showed differently with the 4 columns, that came from the property appraiser website. But, so we have that $400,000 difference. Well, what do we do with that? So now let's go to this other graphic. So if you were increasing the value of the house, so let's say you're in a $600,000 house now, and you're moving to a $800,000 house. Well, if you have $800,000, you take that $400,000 off, leaving you $400,000. Then off of that $400,000, then you take the exemptions of $25,000 or $50,000 to get to a taxable value, right? But let's say the reverse. You live in a $400,000 house, and you're going to downsize, so you go to a $200,000 house. Well, you can't take $200,000 and take $400,000 off. You can only take half. If you downsize, you take half of the difference between market value and assessed value. And so in this case, if you go to $200,000, you can port $200,000, so you'd be able to port that entire amount. You would still have the non-ad valorem taxes you'd have to pay. So, listen, it may sound complicated. Maybe it is. I just understand it. If you still have questions, reach out to me. Send me an email. Leave me a comment. Let's see if I can clarify this for you. go to the Hillsborough County Property Appraiser website. They have frequently asked questions. Many of the graphics I showed are on their website. You can look up your own address under the basic search, put in your address, and you can see what the property appraiser says is your market value and your assessed value. And you can think about porting that to a new property. And in fact, some homeowners may find it advantageous to even move to a new house because they could save on property taxes because of the portability. So just a lot to go on. I hope this clarified a little bit between the ad valorem and non-ad valorem taxes, what the truth in millage comes in. The big thing I want to stress is if you were a buyer and bought a home recently within the past year, your tax bill may not reflect the new price of the home. So you have to look forward to when the value of the house is impacted or reflected in the property appraiser website. What could your property taxes be? Again, you can go to the property appraiser website, look at your address and see what market value shows. And if it's not what you paid, then you may want to go to the tax estimator and see what the estimated taxes could be, right? Because it'll impact your monthly budget. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Go to my website, joebrownc21.com. Send me a message. You can search for homes, read my bios, read my blogs. I'm here and I shared this information because I want to be your trusted advisor, right? So I love sharing this information with you because South Tampa, Florida living is awesome.